You're listening to Shaun of the South podcast, brought to you by Food City, fresh, local, and full of flavor. From certified Angus beef and locally grown produce to fresh sushi, wings, and Dietz and Watson deli meats, Food City has it all, ready to go. Enjoy curbside pickup, full-service floral, and pharmacies that accept thousands of insurance plans and benefit cards. Earn fuel bucks and save at any Gas and Go fuel center, because nobody does food like Food City. Find your nearest store at foodcity.com. She was born in 1821 in the humble town of Winchendon, Massachusetts, and she must have been a spirited baby, because she was a spirited woman. She was a tomboy. Her family moved to New Hampshire, and eventually she grew up to become a public school teacher. Not only did she help students learn and grow, she began writing. In fact, she quickly became a prolific writer, mostly on serious socio-political matters such as abolition and other moral issues of her day. Her work started appearing in magazines. Then people started asking her to lecture, so she began lecturing. And if you're wondering whether it was common for a woman to lecture in the mid-1800s, the answer is no. At age 40, she finally got married. She was a late bloomer. He was a minister named John, and those were turbulent times. It was 1861, and the Civil War was tearing the nation asunder. Only days into their marriage, his country came calling. The Reverend was made chaplain of the 8th Wisconsin Volunteer Infantry Regiment, and he was expected to muster off to war. And I wish I could have heard the Reverend break the news to his wife, inasmuch as it probably didn't go well, because no sooner had her husband informed her that he was shipping off than she replied, "Well, then I'm going with you." And she did. Together, they joined the 8th Infantry, a hard-fighting regiment, scrappy and unrelenting. They were known for their mascot, Old Abe, a war eagle whose image emblazoned on a tattered flag struck fear into their opponents. Namely, because the 8th Infantry did not screw around. These were tough guys. So tough, in fact, their Screaming Eagle mascot would later be adopted by the U.S. Army's 101st Airborne Division. The regiment participated in the major battles of Corinth, Vicksburg, Nashville, and the Red River Campaign, and too many others to name here. Bloodlettings, each one of them, horrific campaigns that wiped out thousands. And she was there, alongside them, arm in arm, often on the battlefield itself, tending to the wounded and dying on both sides. She bandaged gunshot wounds. She carried bodies from blood-soaked pastures. She dug graves with rusty shovels. She was present at impromptu funerals, and when her husband was detained, she began officiating the funeral services herself. The men started calling her preacher. Which is why, in 1864, she became an ordained minister. She was recommended for appointment by the Wisconsin governor as chaplain to the 1st Wisconsin Heavy Artillery. President Abraham Lincoln endorsed her, and so did other officials. But Secretary of War Edwin M. Stanton refused to muster her because she was a woman. Even so, it didn't stop her. She served anyway. She spent the rest of the war ministering to soldiers at Fort Lyon in Alexandria, Virginia, and she did this without pay, since Congress simply could not approve the compensation of a lowly woman in its military. By the war's end, she had served hundreds, maybe thousands. She had held each hand, prayed with each man, encouraged them, baptized them, let them cry into her shoulder, and buried them. And still, she had not been paid for a day of work. Finally, over a decade after the war between the states had ended, she received a check from U.S. Treasurer John C. New. The check was for $1,210.56. A reimbursement for the sum total of her lifetime of military service. It was a laughable amount, so she took the money and distributed it to local charities. During her line of duty, she contracted malaria, which severely disabled her, but she continued working, and she continued writing to support herself financially until she died. And 141 years after that pivotal day, she joined the U.S. military. In the year 2002, she was finally recognized as the first female chaplain of the U.S. Army. She was posthumously given the rank of captain. And well, I just thought you ought to know about Captain Ella Gibson Hobart.
Well, thanks for listening to Sean of the South. I've been your host today, Sean Dietrich, and it has been a true privilege. To find out anything more about what I do, you can visit SeanDietrich.com, or for those who are not particularly good spellers, you can visit SeanOfTheSouth.com, and there you can find out all sorts of information that you didn't know you didn't need to know about me. And while you're there, I hope you take the time to drop me a line. Tell me what's important to you. Tell me what's going on in your life. I'd like to hear it. And in case anyone hadn't told you today already, I love you. Now go say that to somebody else. Have a great day.